Hello, everybody. Today I will be addressing the obvious quarterback situation that we have going. Not necessarily the one with Case Keenum, Bradford, more of the long-term Bradford Bridgewater one. I I actually have their stats down right here, and I'm gonna go over them, and then I'm gonna try to give my 2 cents in it. So if we start off with Sam Bradford, just because he has the bigger sample size, in obviously 2010 Rookie of the Year. He was 354 of 590 attempts for 60% completions with 3,512 yards, a 5.95 average yards per attempt, which is not good at all. He had 18 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, 6 fumbles, a QBR of 47 flat, and a quarterback rating of 76.5. And then he played all 16 games that year. He only played 10 games the next year in 2011 when he was 191 of 357 yards for a measly 53.5% completion percentage with 2,100 yards, 2,164 with a 6.06 average yards per attempt, which that is up from his rookie year of 5.95. So at least that gets some improvement. He only played in 10 games. His touchdowns were from 18 to 6, and interceptions also went down from 15 to 6. He had, again, 6 fumbles with a QBR of 30.5 and a quarterback rating of 70.5. And then in 2012, where he played all 16 games, he was 328 of 551 passes with a 59.5 completion percentage with 3,702 yards, 6.72 average yards per attempt. So once again, this is the third consecutive year where that has gone up. Well, for him, that was the third consecutive year. And then he throws 21 touchdowns to 13 picks, 4 fumbles, a 51.6 QBR, and a quarterback rating of 82.6. So you definitely saw improvement there. And then obviously 2013 was the first year where he tore his ACL, so he only played 7 games. So he was 159 of 262 passes, 60.7%, 1,687 yards, 6.44 yards per attempt, which is down a little bit from the 6.72 that he posted a year prior to that. But then you get the touchdowns, interceptions, and it was 14-4. And that was through 7 games. So he was playing pretty well before he got the ACL injury, and he kind of looked like he was on the upswing. And then he had 2 fumbles at 58.8 QBR and a 90.9 quarterback rating, which to that point was his highest in his career. And then 2014, my bad. He tore his ACL in the preseason, so he didn't play that year. 2015, he shipped from the Rams to the Eagles, and that was the whole Chip Kelly thing. And with that, he was 346 of 532 with a 65% completion, 3,725 yards. He finally cracked 7 flat on the average yards per attempt. And then he threw 19 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, and you would like to see the interceptions go down, but you wonder how much of that was him trying to get used to a new system at the time that really had a lot of moving parts, especially after Chip Kelly kind of annihilated the roster. He had 6 fumbles and 42.1 QBR and an 86.4 quarterback rating. So yardage-wise, that was the best year of his career. And once again, it looked like you could possibly win with Sam Bradford at the helm. And then obviously they draft Carson Wentz. Teddy goes down. He's shipped to us. So, and for all those who don't know the stats of 2016, he was 395 of 552 for a NFL record 71.6%. He had 3,877 with a 7.02 average yards per attempt, which is the highest of his career. So I know a lot of us kind of gave him a lot of crap for not pushing the ball down the field last year, and a lot of that was the offensive line. But the fact that he's always been Charlie checkdown, like if you look at it, the highest he's ever had is 7.02. average yards per attempt. It's never been that high, and I don't know if what we saw against the Saints was a fluke or not. But going over the rest of it, he had 20 touchdowns to 5 picks, 9 fumbles, which to me seemed kind of low. I honestly, it felt like DJ Clemmings was giving up a strip sack fumble almost once or twice a game. So, and his QBR was 57.3 with a 99.3 quarterback rating. So, the thing that's interesting to note here is that his QBR was 57.3. So, that's 2016, which is by far his best statistical year. If you just look at all the basic things, and you take out QBR and rating. But his QBR in 2013 was actually 58.8, and so when it was 57.3 in 2016, it's kind of weird how that worked out. And just a little interesting how you don't know, don't know how those ratings really work. But I thought that was a little interesting thing. That's one stat that I've never really understood. I usually don't go by quarterback rating, but I know a lot of people like it. So, and then obviously this year he's played in one game where he was 27 of 32 with an 84.4%, 346 yards, the 10.81 average yards per attempt, and then 3 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles, no anything like that. And he had a 95.2 QBR with 143 quarterback rating. So for his career, this is what it looks like. He has a 62.6% completion rating, 19,013 yards, a disappointing 6.61 average yards per attempt, 101 touchdowns to 57 interceptions with 33 fumbles in his career and a quarterback rating of 85.2 for his career. So if you look at the numbers, he's a guy that you can certainly win with, I think. He's just not gonna he's gonna be solid but not franchise guy, if that makes sense. He's never gonna be, the Aaron Rodgers or the Drew Breeses of the world. He's gonna be Sam Bradford, and that is he's okay, he can right the ship, but he's not gonna be spectacular. And if he is, it's gonna be kind of rare. That he has talent, it just doesn't always appear. Now all the teams that he's been on has had a giant issue or he's been hurt. And that's still the case today as he is hurt as we speak. And then if we go into the Teddy Bridgewater stats of just passing thus far, obviously his rookie year he only played in 13 games because Matt Castle was holding him down. No, that's probably a good thing, but that he was hurt in that game just so we can get Teddy out there as fast as possible. But in his rookie year, he was 259 of 402 attempts with a 64.4% with 2,919 yards, a 7.26 average. So, taken from that, his rookie year was already, he was throwing the ball downfield more than Sam Bradford ever did. But I digress there. His touchdowns was, he had 14 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 3 fumbles, and a 54.4 QBR with a quarterback rating of 85.2. And then that was the year without Adrian Peterson. So this next year we enter Adrian, the Adrian offense of just handoff. And he was 292 of 447 attempts, although he did play in 3 more games. So, per game, he was still throwing less than he was the year prior, even though he technically threw more the second year when Adrian was there. He was 65.3% with 3,231 yards, a 7.23 average yards per attempt, 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and 57.5 QBR, 88.7 quarterback rating. So, over his career, you're looking at 551 completions of 849 attempts, 64.9 percentage, 6,100 yards, a 7.24 average yards per attempt, and 28 touchdowns and 28 interceptions, 8 fumbles, and an 87 flat quarterback rating. And if you're going to highlight anything here, even though Teddy Bridgewater has a much more smaller sample size, the yards per attempt is what jumps out for you, because Teddy was always the other guy who was kind of dinged up for being he's too conservative, needs to throw a ball down the field. Compared to Sam Bradford, Bradford, he's aggressive, statistically anyway, because you look at them every year, like, it took him up until 2016, his 7th year in the league, to really kind of throw deep-ish, and even then it wasn't deep. So the 7.26 that Teddy averaged before Adrian was there, so we can actually throw down the field, like, it felt like that was kind of the offense when Adrian wasn't in there, and like they would try to be more explosive, basically. But if you had Adrian, you had to give him his touches. But so before that happened, he was 7.26 yards, which is a good starting point. It's not great, but it's a good starting point for a quarterback. So him actually throwing for more aggressively through the air and how this offense is now, he might actually be a better fit than Bradford. Which, if healthy, I think you have to go Teddy Bridgewater. If he is healthy and able to go, it's Teddy's job. But obviously, if he can't come back to that form, it's not the same. And we didn't even go over rushing, which, if you look at rushing, like Sam, once again, just he's not much of a runner, and we know that. His best year running the ball was 2012 when he had 36 carries for 124 yards, a 3.4 average. A 21-yard run was his longest. He had 1 touchdown. He accounted for 9 first downs with his legs and 2 fumbles, but none of them are lost. And for Bradford's career, he had 144 attempts for 333 yards and 2.3 yards for an average. 24 yards was his long, which actually happened in 2016 against, I believe it was the Bears. And he has accounted for 2 touchdowns on the ground, 24 first downs using his legs, with 13 fumbles, and he's lost 4 of those. And then this is where I think you really start to think Teddy is the better guy, just because if you look at the stats, his rookie year, 47 attempts, 209 yards, a 4.4 average. His long was 16. He had 1 touchdown. He accounted for 13 first downs by himself using his legs with no fumbles. His second year in 2015, 44 carries for 192 yards, again a 4.4 average. 19 yards was his longest run. He had 3 touchdowns this time around, and his first downs went up from 13 to 17, although he had 3 fumbles but only lost 1. So career-wise, he has more yards than Bradford at 401, larger yards per carry at 4.4 to Bradford's 2.3. His long is 19, which is surprisingly less than Sam's at 24. His touchdowns are 4 compared to Bradford's 2. First downs, 30 for Teddy, 24 for Sam Bradford. Fumbles, obviously Sam played longer, so higher chance of more fumbles, and he has more with 13, only lost 4. And obviously Teddy only fumbled. He didn't fumble at all his rookie year, so that 3 and 1 for fumbles lost are his fumbles and lost fumbles. So especially when you start going into things like that, this could very easily be Teddy's job, like if he's healthy enough to go. That's assuming he is the same type of player, because we can't assume he's the same exact guy just because of how drastic this injury was. This was catastrophic to him. There was talk about possible amputation when he got this injury. So we can't just expect him to come in, oh, it's time for Teddy to leave the offense. If he leads the offense, that means our season's pretty much over, like if we're asking Teddy to save it. So I don't think it's really fair to Ted. So unless like he was already going through this process kind of like in training camp, where like kind of like borderline ready to practice, and then he can go up and practice. That like eligible to practice does not mean game ready. So if he was already at that beforehand, and now he's coming into this week 6 where he's eligible to practice and actually play week 7, then that's the only way I think he plays sooner rather than later. But I don't know how likely that is an option, because obviously if he was healthy and possibly healthy enough to win the starting job, I don't think they would have left him on the PUP list, because obviously that could have been your starting quarterback. That's the guy that they I think they want Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know. I don't think they really want Sam Bradford to end up being the guy. I think they want Teddy. They want Teddy Bridgewater to be kind of their dude because they drafted him. That's their first round pick. That's the guy that Zimmer came in with. They're kind of tied at the hip. That's who they want it to be. But obviously, if Sam Bradford actually can come back from this non-contact bone bruise, then and play well, then we can't really deny that it's Bradford. So how I kind of view this is if Teddy can come back, it's Teddy Bridgewater. It's not really much of a question. He's younger, more room for development, and the even just speaking about leadership things, he blows Bradford out of the water. So it's not even close. Like I saw rumors, like I don't know how true these are, but I did read about rumors that said that maybe Zimmer picked captains because he was afraid of Teddy being voted a captain, which I think if that is true, that just speaks volumes to how much of a leader Teddy Bridgewater is. So he didn't if Zimmer didn't think they would vote Sam Bradford as a captain and Teddy Bridgewater, the guy who's on the pup list, then I think there's something to be said for that. Like he is a great leader, better than he is a football player, which is much needed. And then obviously Teddy's a better winner. Situational football is Teddy's game more so than the stat game, which appears to be Bradford's game as of late. But yeah. So I would like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I would like you to follow my Twitter at Brian_Spadafora. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. I bid you adieu.